I am the Namer, guardian of the names of power. Before your world even existed, my people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history. Across the endless tracts of space have I traveled, to return to the planet of my birth, Zoidstar. Though my people perished long ago, and their cities were buried by the shifting sands, the machines remain. It is these that have brought me here to perform the last act of the Zoidarian race, the giving of the names of power. When my race was young and had an interest in the affairs of the galaxy, they built the machines, mighty engines of destruction which gave the power of life and death over the other creatures in the galaxy. The Zoidarians turned their gaze outward and laid waste to 1,000 star systems with their machines, their Zoids. But ruling a galaxy was not enough for the Zoidarians. It was not the conquests, but the battles they enjoyed. And though all intelligent life trembled in the shadow of the Zoids, my people battled on, machine against machine, Zoidarian against Zoidarian, in the further pursuit of glory. Zoidarian lives were needlessly sacrificed to the god of battle, and the race dwindled in numbers until the elders outlawed the Zoid duels. But they couldn't outlaw the Zoidarian love of combat. The Zoidarian pilots of the giant war machines were replaced by androids, and thus the heroic combat could continue without threat to Zoidarian life. Too late came the order. Too late to save a once mighty race from extinction, and now only I remain. Only I and the Zoids. And though my people created the Zoids, I have no power to control them. For the war machines have become the living embodiment of the Zoidarian thirst for combat, with lives and wills of their own. They exist only to fight, to ensure that their heroic combat lasts for all eternity. Now I stand on the sand-blasted surface of a world I used to call home, high on a rock, scanning the horizon for some sign of movement, knowing that out there, behind the sand clouds, lurk the deadliest war machines in the universe. It begins!
I'm planning to see who roll the dice once more. Set up us empire and bishops in war. Third war against the Republic commence. Full-scale invasion against that defense. With all new convents to storm the shore. Cutting-edge machines of death for the cause. Twin on stalkers and black rivers of mass. See Panther will seize the beachhead with class. See Panther, the mechanized army class. See Panther, the Republic they will stand. Forcing red and silver steel. See Panther, laser guns charge for the kill. Whoa, with techno rage the Sea Panthers attack. Hermit crab machines and robot track. Wriggling legs and crushing claws take the bombs to the Stacy's kill. Zoids where they are with beachhead security. Panthers advance, scuttling steel. Hermit Republic strike war dots. Glowing cyber eyes of Sandler's rage. The crescent will fall to the Empire Age. See Panther, the mechanized army craft. See Panther, the Republic they will stand. Forcing red and silver steel. See Panther, laser guns charge for the kill. Whoa. See Panther, the mechanized on the cross. See Panther, the Republic they will stand. Forcing red and silver steel. See Panther, laser Zoids push on. Scuttling steel, met crab legs strike water. Low inside the lines of Xander's rage. The continent will fall to the Empire Age. With blitzkrieg speeds, another Zoids push on. See Panthers and show battle lines are drawn. Fire the laser guns and the rockets too. Cruel cybernetic, perfect methods will we Panther. Mechanized by the crowd, rebuild for battle. Red Zoids dusty to kill, blue Zoids like cattle. Led by Red Horn, the terrible they rise. Hatred for blue guardians in their eyes. As they mobilize, the Red Zoids rear. Red Scavenger builds new mutants to cause harm. With scuttling red steel legs and silver shells. Cruel sea Panthers prepare to raise Zoid elves. See Panthers, mechanized hermit crab beasts. See Panthers, monster machines, see Zoid beasts. See Panthers, blood red steel legs and iron claws. See Panthers, silver armored shells for the cause. Oh, with burning eyes of cyber hate, they move. Oh, see Panthers scuttle to the Zoid war crews. Evil red mutants, loyal to Red Horn. Vile hermit crab machines with blue Zoids gone. Over sea and land, the sea Panthers roam. At home on sandy beaches and sea foam. Powerful laser guns and rockets prime. Ready to blast blue Zoids expertly timed. See Panthers, mechanized hermit crab beasts. See Panthers, monster machines, see Zoid beasts. See Panthers, blood red steel legs and iron claws. See Panthers, silver armored shells for the cause. Over sea and land, the sea Panthers roam. At home on sandy beaches and sea foam. Powerful laser guns and rockets prime. Ready to blast blue Zoids expertly timed. On planet Zoidstar, the Zoid wars spark again. Red mutants covet blue guardian glare. See Panthers patrol the shores with sick claws. Eager to crush blue Zoids between their claws. See Panthers, mechanized hermit crab beasts. See Panthers, monster machines, see Zoid beasts. See Panthers, blood red steel legs and iron claws. See Panthers, silver armored shells for the cause. See Panthers, mechanized hermit crab beasts. See Panthers, monster machines, see Zoid beasts. See Panthers, blood red steel legs and iron claws. See Panthers, silver armored shells for the cause.
It is the never-ending battle between red and blue Zoids. It has been waged for centuries. It rages still, with no end in sight.
I, the Namer, last of the Zoidarians, guardian of the names of power, keeper of the legend of heroic combat, have spoken.